You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, in my house, my wife and I have teenagers, and often I'll say one step forward. That's what the Celtics did on Friday night in their convincing win against the Orlando Magic. Now, don't take a step or two in the wrong direction. Celtics get 30 from Jayson Tatum, 3 players with 20 or more, 4 in double figures, and the Celtics thumped the Orlando Magic to pick up the win. And with Friday's victory, the Celtics are now at the midpoint of the NBA regular season. With that, we welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, once the last man on the JV hoop squad for Division III SUNY Brockport. Go Golden Eagles! That for one semester during my college days. You are right where you need to be on this Friday night with the Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as a Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which you know is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to discuss Jayson Tatum and his first half. We're going to discuss the Celtics doing something against the Magic that had not done by an opposing team against Orlando to this point in the regular season. The Celtics got to the basket. The Celtics were strong from mid-range. The Celtics buried three-pointers. We want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation. Watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit that comment button and join the conversation. Give us your one random thought on the Celtics win against the Orlando Magic. Again, one step forward. Do not take a step backwards Saturday at home against Atlanta in the second game of a back-to-back for the Celtics. This episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So the Celtics pick up the victory. And again, we want to hear from you here in segment number 1. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit that comment button and again, join the conversation. Celtics back home. Rough night a couple of nights ago against the Raptors in Toronto. Celtics taking on a Magic team, still one of the top teams in the East, and they're kind of shuffling right now. Ryan Ruocco on the ESPN broadcast with Corey Alexander mentioned it. 4 through 9 right now in the Eastern Conference. You don't like the way it stacks up for your team? Wait a couple of days, because those seedings right now can change almost on a daily basis. That happened to Orlando, losing to the Bucks on Wednesday night. And with Friday's loss, the Magic now losers of 4 of their last 5. 2 of those losses against Milwaukee. They still have not won 2 in a row since before Christmas. And now 6-11 in their last 17 games. Remember, back on December 23rd, Orlando at home, knocking off the Celtics 108-104. Jaylen Brown had 35 in that victory, and the Celtics led by 15 at that. First quarter in this one, what I liked early on, Derrick White knocking down a 3. Derrick White reached double figures. Right now, if you look at it, there's certain numbers where certain players just aren't hitting their average in the last handful of games. But you had 3. Tatum, KP, JB, all 20 or more points. White hitting a 3 early on in the game, that was a good sign. Kristaps Porzingis got off to a great start. Scored 6 of the Celtics' first 12 points. He had a 3, Celtics up 17-13. Rebound on the other end. Brown got a layup, Celtics up 6 at that point. Celtics 5 of 5 on 3-pointers in the first quarter. 5 of 5 against the Orlando Magic. Magic, not a team that gives up a lot on the 3-point line. They entered Friday night 4th in defensive rating. They can get after it. Top 4 offense and defensive rebounds. But the Celtics up by 7 after the first quarter. Never trailed again after the first. Celtics up 12 at the half. Tatum, 3 straight layups in that second quarter, getting to the basket. And at one point, Tatum, I think, scored 10 straight points for the Celtics. Brown actually went above that in the third quarter with KP and Tatum on the bench. But Tatum had a dunk, Drew the foul, missed a free throw, actually got it up to 12 straight points and was 6 of 6 from the field. That here in my notes. Holiday knocked down a three late in the second quarter. Celtics went into the locker room up by 12 points, scoring 66 points in the first 24 minutes. Tatum, 15 in that second quarter, 20 at the half. KP, 11 in the first quarter, 3 points in the second quarter, 14 at the half. And the Celtics also getting to the line in this one. Not so much in the fourth quarter. Whistle went away a little bit, but I think they were 20 for 22 overall from the free throw line. Celtics adding on 96 points through three quarters, up by 20 going to the fourth. Led by as many as 22 in that third quarter. And Orlando opened up that third quarter on a 5-0 run. Mention Brown did his damage. Under 4 to go in the third. Brown a mid-range jumper. Pritchard knocked down a three, but it was taken off the board at his heel. They reviewed it, changed it in a stoppage of play. He had his heel on the sideline, so Pritchard had a three-pointer taken away. I'll have more on that in just a moment. Brown a three, really doing damage again with Tatum and Porzingis on the bench. Brown 13 straight points in that third quarter. So Brown 20 through 3, played all 12 minutes in the third. Porzingis had his number, and then Tatum scored 5 points to hit 30 in the fourth quarter. Porzingis early on in the fourth quarter. Mentioned Orlando scoring the first 5 of the third quarter. Not that I thought it was danger time, up 20 at the start of the fourth, but I just thought Orlando was going to have an extended run to get it down to single digits. It did not come. KP, again, picked up his 5th foul early on in the fourth quarter. Holiday knocked down a 3. Horford had a 3. Then Derrick White had a 3 that put him in double figures. Tatum knocked down a 3. And at that point, Celtics up 112-86. Timeout. Tatum up to 30. His night was done. Pritchard, I love when the guys get off the bench. Pritchard, not a great night. That's okay. Other guys stepped up. But Pritchard missed on a lob to Cade, I think it was. Got it back, put his defender in the spin cycle, hit a jumper. Then Hauser hit a 3. That was a 17th made three-pointer of the game for the Celtics. That is a season high against the Orlando Magic. No team had knocked down 17 threes in a game against the Magic this season. Celtics did it, going 17 of 37, 46% on the three-point line. And they started 5 of 5 in that first quarter. Overall, 53% from the field. 42 of 80 from the field. The Celtics got to the basket, layups and dunks. Mid-range was a big thing for the Celtics in the victory against the Orlando Magic. And then they knocked down threes. Again, knocking down 17 threes. Orlando on the other side, abysmal. 16% on the three-point line, 5 of 32 overall. Giving you a lot of numbers right there. I'll give you one more for the Celtics. They ended up with 10 turnovers. I was hoping for 9. I really was. But in that fourth quarter, at one point, where was it? 84 points with 5 to go for Orlando. I'm thinking, hold them below 100. And we'll have that number. Celtics take it to 10, and a perfect 10 at that when holding the opposition below 100 points on the season. Where are we at right now? We're in pretty good shape. Let's hit the comment button. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel on this Friday night, talking about a Celtics victory, again, a step forward. Think of the movie Rounders. Think of John Malkovich. Think of Matt Damon. Yeah, it's okay. Friday night. We're not popping the bubbly. We're not sizing up the fingers for another ring. But you'll take it, and you just don't want to take a step backwards now. Connected, defended well against a team who, they're not one of the top offensive teams in the league. Rain checking in. Much better performance. Absolutely. All starters look good. And Joe Mazzulla tinkered with his rotation a little bit. Different substitutions, different times for Tatum and Brown to go out. Again, Brown played that entire third quarter. PK tattoos. Starters look electrified. Focus. Taking turns, winning quarters, yet playing like a team. Right on. Rain, PK tattoos, you're right there. Smiley Jogger checking in. Let's see if the theme continues here. Celtics are fine. They are. We want to push the panic button. 3 games off the pace from last year. Again, at the midpoint of the season with the victory against Orlando Friday night. But Smiley Jogger, Celtics are fine. Difficult for them to get up for all 82. They're allowed to fuel doldrums during the season. They are. I don't disagree with you. But the way they lost against Toronto the other night, that's not the Celtics. Those are few and far between. That was effort, everything. Post-game comments were right on as expected from the other night, losing to the Raptors. But boy, sour taste after the other night, losing by double figures to a 9-win team, now 10 wins on the season. When you beat them, just absolutely embarrass them. And they embarrassed themselves on New Year's Eve night, December 31, 2024. But to come back and have them take it to you, even on their home floor, didn't like that the other night. Rain one more. Still, I think we need to make a trade and get some more role players. Yeah, I think I said it again after the OKC game. This stretch has shown you might want to add something else. Where it is, pick it. Are you really going to add something that takes Drew Holiday or Derrick White out of the starting lineup? And what are you prepared to give up in a trade? Because you're not giving up either one of those guys. The top 3 are not going anywhere. The present-day top 3 aren't going anywhere. Are you trading a starter? There's no way in the world I'm trading Drew Holiday or Derrick White. Absolutely not. And I don't think that's probably on the table. But where are you going on the bench? Was Baylor Shireman activated from the G League and the Maine Celtics on Friday? Got some time on the floor late, but does he get some minutes here? Does he get some run to showcase him in a potential deal? Maybe there's a couple teams who might have an interest in him. Could be. But it was interesting that they made that move and activated him for Friday night's game against the Magic. But yeah, I just don't know where it's at, But yeah, the guys off the bench, if you're not getting it done, you bring somebody else in. Rain bringing up Lonnie Walker IV. That's the second straight Locked On Celtics postcast where the name Lonnie Walker was brought up. He's there. He's available. He's able to get out of his contract currently overseas. We'll see what happens here. There's something to the fact that, they could bring him back, but then they have to make another move as well. Glad you're with us on this Friday night. Locked On Celtics postcast. Celtics pick up the victory. Broadcaster observation of the night. Corey Alexander on with Ryan Ruocco on the ESPN broadcast. That's the one I had Friday night. And I'll tell you what, I really liked Corey Alexander, and he had some thoughts during the broadcast on Jayson Tatum. We're going to get into those next. Again, glad you're with us on this Friday night. Locked On Celtics postcast. Celtics win big at home against the Orlando Magic. Take on the Atlanta Hawks Saturday night in Boston before going out on a 4-game road trip. And once again, we appreciate you being with us and on board for the Locked On Celtics postcast presented by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%, plus you also get 4% APY on your cash-in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. Investing does involve risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhoodgold.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered at Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, keep the comments coming. Glad you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hey, don't forget, help us out a little bit. We're hitting some nice numbers, YouTube channel, and on the podcast feed as well. Again, Locked on Celtics with John Corrales, available on the podcast, available wherever you get your podcast. Tell a friend about us. Tell multiple friends about us. Don't keep us a secret as we continue to build on this and hopefully a nice deep run into June and another NBA Finals appearance and another NBA title for the reigning NBA champion Boston Celtics. Smiley Jogger. I'm comfortable with every single player on the Celtics bench. Brad Stevens did very well. Bench has contributed when given the opportunities. They have. I don't want to say the bench is slacked off of late, but if you look at Peyton Pritchard tonight, 21 minutes, 2 of 3 overall from the field, did have 3 assists, had 4 points. Did not take, actually, I should say, he did take a 3-pointer and he knocked it down, but it was taken off the board. But on the 3-point line, 1, 2, 7 players had at least 1 3. And again, 17 threes allowed by the Magic, the most they've allowed in a game this season. Celtics, 41-37 on the boards. You'll take that. Biggest lead, 27, that in the fourth quarter. 27 bench points for the Celtics. Not a single bench player in double figures, but Hauser had 8, knocked down a couple of threes. Cada ended up having 7 points and 3 rebounds and had 3 fouls in his 11 minutes. Cornette played just 7, had 2 points. And Al Horford knocked down a couple of threes. Al Horford going 2 for 3 on the 3-point line. I thought about it the other day. I'm comfortable with Al Horford taking up to 4 threes a game. Not 5, not 6, not above 5 in any way. He's done that on occasion this year. Porzingis, again, his final line, he was perfect from the field early on. 7 of 10 overall, 3 of 5 on the 3-point line, 6 of 6 at the line. So got to the line 6 times total. Scored 23 points. Again, picked up his 5th foul early in the fourth quarter and then became a spectator. But the Celtics, 20 of 22 from the free throw line, and a lot went right. Now just build on it again. Let this be step 1. Let the bottom be the loss against the Toronto Raptors a couple of nights ago in Toronto and go from there. The bench, going back to Smiley Jogger, the bench overall has been solid this year. Peyton Pritchard is still in the conversation. May not be leading the pack anymore, but he is still certainly very much in the conversation for 6th man of the year. Pritchard did lead the team in points the other night, ended up with 20. But the other night, you did not want Peyton Pritchard leading the team in points against the Toronto Raptors. So again, a step forward. Tatum, big first half. Coming out of the locker room for the third quarter, I'm thinking, go for 40 tonight. But then the way things unfolded, end up with 30, great number. The way that things unfolded in that third quarter, and Tatum did see time on the floor in the fourth quarter to get to 30. And yes, you're coaching to win that particular game, but Joe Mazzulla certainly and I on second game of a back-to-back tomorrow night at TD Garden against the Atlanta Hawks. Bench gave you exactly what they, needed. They did not allow Orlando in that third quarter or even in the first couple of minutes of the fourth quarter to make a run where you said, okay, the Celtics have to have at least a couple of starters on the floor at the under 5 mark of the fourth quarter. Did not happen. So I was hoping for a big, big night from Tatum. Oh, a big night, okay? Capital B-I-G, a big night with the 30. And then you end up with Jaylen Brown having that big third quarter as well. But a balanced attack. And that's what the Celtics have to be game in, game out. Hit numbers of the night coming up in our next segment. I did mention it. We don't do it every show, but I do like bringing up the broadcaster observation or observations of the night. I did like Corey Alexander with Ryan Rucco on ESPN. It was in the first half, Corey Alexander called Jayson Tatum the most disrespected superstar in our game. Later, as he was explaining and making his case for that statement, and I think there's an awful lot of hyperbole there. Overall, love Corey Alexander. That was to pique up the viewers, make them pay attention to what he was saying there. Is Tatum really the most disrespected superstar in our game right now? Corey Alexander later said, this dude is elite. Yeah, Celtic fans know that. And I don't think Tatum's taken for granted. Social media being what it is today, I think he does a great job. He holds himself accountable. Most disrespected superstar in our game, Corey Alexander on ESPN Friday night. Couple of random thoughts. Did you see that Jimmy Butler was back Friday night for the Miami Heat? How about Jimmy making his return? Just for grins, giggles. Miami losing big at home in Miami, 125-104, under 3 to go in the fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler, 33 minutes, 7 of 15, 18 points. If they lose the game, I'm not sure Jimmy's found his joy just yet. I don't think that's going to happen with a blowout loss at home against the Denver Nuggets. Let's go back to that game for a moment. Jokic, 24, triple-double, 24, 12, and 10 assists. Westbrook, Murray had a big game with 28, knocking down a lot, now 30, 12 of 24. He's still in the game for the Denver Nuggets in that one. Okay, I'm done scoreboard watching. Flip over to ESPN.com. Final observation, we hit a break, numbers of the night coming up. Hit up ESPN.com. Might be on the NBA page now on ESPN.com. This was the headline earlier the day on the main page. Should the Celtics still be NBA championship betting favorites? Going to admit right now, I have not read the article by Andre Snellings. I'm not sure if I'm going to. But is that clickbait? Really is. I'm not sure they're going to make a strong argument. In terms of betting favorites, I don't think I could care any less whether or not the Celtics are betting favorites to win the NBA championship. But that was the headline. So that's one of those, in case you missed it, I was there for you. Should the Celtics still be NBA championship betting favorites? Take that, run with it, or just go put it over in the corner and let it collect dust. Because I didn't know what to make of that one, but I saw it and I thought, why not bring it up? Numbers of the night. Look ahead to the matchup against the Hawks. TD Garden Saturday night. The Celtics. I'm going to give you some numbers on how they have had great success. Game 2 of back-to-backs. And you know what? Take that next step forward. Do exactly what you've done in 5 of the previous 6 game 2s of the back-to-back. I'm going to go into more detail on that right after this. Locked on Celtics postcast. Locked on Sports Boston, your team every day. Glad you're with us. A tip of the cap to our everydayers and a welcome aboard to our first-timers as well. If you're with us on the Locked on Celtics podcast feed, again, featured with John Corrales, available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Follow us on the X, formerly known as Twitter, at Lennox on Hoops. Questions, comments, or concerns. We are sponsored by Skims. Skims, now making underwear for men. Are you intrigued? Skims lives up to the hype. Ever have issues with your underwear, fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for yourself? Skims changes all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with a perfect balance of comfort and style. Are you a boxer brief guy? Boxer briefs, perfect from Skims for the active lifestyle. They move with you, they never lose their shape, and stay in place all day. Whether you're working out or just running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear you are ever going to own. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's, that's S-K-I-M-S, Skims Men's at skimsmens.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores as well. Let them know we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show, Locked on Celtics Postcast, and the drop-down menu that follows. Again, Skims underwear for men. We know you're intrigued. It's skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Locked on Celtics Postcast, talking about the Celtics' victory against the Orlando Magic Friday night in Boston, also presented by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and with that, you get $300 in bonus bets. If you win your first bet, again, $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every single game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the NFL playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, When you join, you'll start with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, numbers of the night coming up just a moment. Smiley Jogger checking in one more time. It was funny when you said Missoula is the happiest when miserable. I can't take credit for that. I try to be funny on occasion. Smiley Jogger. I don't know that I can take credit for that. The other day, what I said was Joe Missoula in that Raptors game when they kept putting the camera on him. You don't know if they're down 13 or if they're, winning the 18th championship in franchise history, which they did last June. Even in his press conferences, pregame or postgame, stoic. Doesn't really crack much of a smirk or a smile. So that's what I was saying the other day. But Joe Missoula has to be happy with the performance Friday night. I don't know if he's like former NBA and former Celtic and former NBA coach Don Nelson cracking a beer after a game as a head coach. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I have no idea. But certainly can be happy with the performance that his team put forward against the Orlando Magic on Friday night. Celtics pick up the victory against Steve Lennox with you on the Locked On Celtics postcast, part of the Locked On Sports Boston team. And your Celtics, your teams every day. So, midpoint of the regular season for the Celtics, now 29-12 on the season. Celtics are 3 games off last year's pace. They were 32-9 at the midpoint of the regular season. So 3 games off that pace. They certainly can get back to that pace. Celtics holding the Magic below 100. Orlando getting to 94 points total. Celtics winning 121-94. They scored 30 or more in each of the first 4 quarters, 25 in the fourth quarter, won all 4 quarters. But the Celtics now a perfect 10-0 when holding their opponent below 100 points on the season. Celtics 90 or more points through 3 quarters for the 21st time in 41 games. I like that number. And again, Celtics 29-12, last year 32-9 at the midpoint. I mentioned Orlando giving up a season-high 17 threes in the loss Friday night. They gave up 16 threes against the Bulls in late November. They had given up entering Friday 15 or more threes just 4 times in their first 42 games of the season. So they've now given up 15 or more threes 5 times this year in 43 games. They've passed the midpoint of the season. Derrick White had gone 3 straight games with less than 10 points, gotten to double figures in that fourth quarter. White had been 1 for 18 on threes and 4 for 23 overall from the field in the previous 3 games. Knocked down his first 3 of the game. That was great to see. He had been 3 for 29 on threes in the previous 4 for the Celtics as well. Again, it's not in any one particular player's lap, but Derrick White in recent games, 3 losses, each of the previous 3 losses for the Celtics below 100 points, well below their season average. Handful of guys in recent games. In baseball, we call it a slump. In football, if your quarterback goes in a slump, he's just a bad quarterback. NBA, we don't often talk about a bad 3 or 4 game stretch for a player. Derrick White on one of those. Maybe busting out against Orlando on Friday night. So, last one, then we're going to call it a show. Celtics, front end of the back-to-back, beat the Orlando Magic. Series now 1-1. They've got 1 more left in their regular season series. The Celtics are 5-1 in game 2 of back-to-back so far this season. This is what I want to bring up. Energy is what they've had in game 2 of the back-to-back in just about every game. 5-1. In the lost by 6 against the Memphis Grizzlies at home. The 5 wins on the end of the back-to-back, all double-digit victories and all blowouts pretty much. Plus 10 over Charlotte, plus 25 over Brooklyn, plus 32 over the LA Clippers, 1 by 19 against the Miami Heat, 1 by 23 in Houston after playing the night before in Minneapolis and beating the Timberwolves, and now you've got the Atlanta Hawks, who you've already beaten by 30, who did knock off the Celtics by 1 at TD Garden Just was that before December 1? I think it was. Atlanta, November 12th. Yeah, so it was. And in that 1-point victory in Boston for the Hawks back on November 12th, they were without Trae Young, and Dyson Daniels had a career-high 28, and Jalen Johnson also had a triple-double. Hawks right now 2 over 500, 21-19, number 7 seed in the East. And again, the East is bunched up 4 through 9 right now. Hawks enter Saturday's matchup in Boston. Winners of 2 in a row, 3 of 4, beat the Bulls on Wednesday night. Derrick White, 7 threes, 31, and Jaylen Brown, 37 in that game at home against Atlanta in mid-November, just before the midpoint of November. So, again, let's see if Derrick White can put up another strong performance against the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday as the Celtics look to go 6-1 in the second game of back-to-backs on the season. They've got one coming up on the upcoming road trip as well. Golden State and San Francisco, Martin Luther King Day this Monday, and then 2 in a row, Wednesday, Thursday in Los Angeles, 2 different arenas against the Clippers, and then the Lakers and the road trip would wrap up a week from this Sunday in Dallas against the Mavericks. As always, we do appreciate your support. Do appreciate you being on board with us as well on this Friday night as the Celtics win convincingly over the Orlando Magic 121-94. We're going to be with you again Saturday night within minutes of the final buzzer. Hopefully we're talking about a second straight victory for the Celtics, and hopefully big performances from all throughout the lineup for the Celtics as well. Tip of the cap, and appreciate our sponsors supporting us. Support our sponsors, and that is a big way to help us and with the support with us with Locked On Sports. Thanks to our sponsors, Robinhood Gold, Skims, and FanDuel. That does it for us. Again, we'll be on live within minutes of the final buzzer for the Hawks and Celtics matchup, Game 42 on the regular season for the Celtics on Saturday night. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics, every single game, every single day.